From a remote corner of Indonesia come tales of a terrifying creature.
What is that? I've heard accounts of a monstrous beast that strikes hard and fast.
And leaves locals cowering with fear.
That's big. What was that?
It's deadly poisonous and is said to feed on human flesh. If these accounts are true, then I'm on the hunt for a cold-blooded killer.
My name is Richard Terry. I am a documentary cameraman and I've traveled the world. I've filmed fierce and savage creatures. But my dream is to find and film real-life monsters.
I'm starting my quest on the island of Flores, a volcanic outcrop in the vast archipelago of Indonesia. This chain of over 17,000 islands is home to some truly extraordinary creatures. Deadly cobras, giant flying foxes, and voracious white-tipped sharks. But the one I'm looking for may be more fearsome than all of these.
I'm leading a team of filmmakers into the heart of this country to search for a terrifying monster that's been eating people. I've heard a gruesome tale of a European man who was here hiking in the mountains. He became tired, so the group left him to rest. By the time they came back for him, he was completely vanished. All they found were his glasses and his camera.
A memorial now stands in the place he was last seen. To find out what's behind this and other similar encounters, I'm heading deep into the jungle to the site of a recent attack.
This is rough, but this is really what I expected on a rain-washed road like this on the interior of Indonesia during rainy season. When you're going around these steep bends, you really get the impression that it'd be very easy for a truck like this to tip over. I'm starting my investigation at a remote village called Kilor. This village is inhabited with a people called the Munggarai. These guys are known to be really tough.
This tribe has lived in this part of the island for over 600 years.
It must be getting close. I can hear drums. But it certainly doesn't sound peaceful. It kind of sounds like a beat to war. Come on, let's go and check it out. Apa kabar?
As I enter the village, I'm confronted by an extraordinary spectacle.
From what I've read, it looks like this is going to lead into the infamous whip fight of the Munggarai people. This bunch of guys really do look tough. Their bodies are covered in scars.
Traditionally, the whip fight is thought to have been an ancient ritual for young warriors. Each fighter is armed with a whip made from buffalo hide that they use to strike their opponent.
There's no question they mean business. There's two of them fighting at any one time, and the winner is the one who draws the first blood. Pretty intimidating. They look hardcore.
If there is a monster lurking in these parts, then it must be pretty fierce to scare people in this tribe.
I've come here because I've heard that your people here in this village have come under attack.
Several villagers claim to have seen the creature, but the most vivid account comes from a woman named Maria.
Saya bunyi suara ayam ini dari luar. Akhirnya saya berteriak.
She tells me she was at home weaving when she heard her chickens suddenly start screeching as if they were being attacked. When she ran out to see what the matter was, she saw a massive reptile attacking her birds.
Maria, can you remember, what does this creature look like?
She says it was covered in scales and absolutely massive, over 12 feet long.
That big? That's big.
She also thinks it was poisonous and was terrified that it would bite her or her children. It sounds to me as though the creature Maria saw was some kind of giant snake. I've heard that some of the largest, deadliest snakes on Flores Island are cave dwellers. And there's one cave on the island that's infamous for being a hideout for snakes. Locals call it Istana Ular, Snake Palace. And it's buried deep in the bush.
That's as far as I can get to the cave by road.
This is my last chance to make sure I've got everything I need for the trek to the cave.
Good, powerful flashlight.
And this far off the beaten path, it's vital to have a well-stocked first aid kit. An accident out here could be disastrous.
A good medical kit. I want it to be lightweight, stuff for blocking major traumas, stopping the blood flow, and plenty of bandages for a broken leg or sprained ankles. Going to places like this, a cave, I've really got to be careful. Anything can happen, and it's not like I get myself into the city hospital. You've got to be really prepared. Off we go.
The ground underfoot is slippery with mud from the rains, and the path is totally overgrown. So to hack through all the brush, I'm using a razor-sharp machete.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
The going is tougher than I expected.
This isn't the kind of place you'd want to die. It's not every day you get to use a sharp blade as a walking stick.
I've nearly sliced my finger off in the fall. There is blood everywhere.
No, that's not good.
Fortunately, my cameraman Sterling is a trained first aider.
Yes, I've cut my finger. It seems right through to the bone. There's flesh coming right out of the wound. It's actually pumping out. I've gone right down to the bone.
Hold on. Put the pressure on that.
First thing I need to do is get some alcohol and get it inside that wound and clean it because the machete blade doesn't look too clean.
Just keep.
Yep.
Make sure it gets in the wound too.
Yep.
Okay, what they're pouring in is alcohol, which is locally made from palm, and it's strong, but it should help clean the wound. I can smell it. I should probably drink some of it.
If I'm not careful, I could lose my finger.
Yeah.
To treat injuries like this, locals use a leaf called the duanwu.
This chap, one of the porters, has put a leaf in his mouth and spat in it. He says it's a traditional way of stopping the bleeding. Getting the leaf.
So,
And almost immediately, the natural medication takes effect.
Ah, it worked. This leaf that the porter put in his mouth and chewed and put over the wound has actually worked. It was pumping blood out as fast as my heart could put it there. And he stopped the bleeding with a leaf he's just found right by our feet. Incredible.
Clean around that.
What was I saying about rainy season and muddy slopes?
With my finger heavily bandaged, it's time to get back on the path. This time without my machete.
This really feels like cave territory now. Great overhangs and lovely roots hanging out of the rocks. Look at that. There's a viper right up here. It's just there in the leaves. It's so hard to spot. I only just spotted that one, but if you look around at all the branches and the leaves here, how many others of these things are hanging up out there?
Green pit vipers are highly venomous. Their bites can result in coagulation problems and excessive bleeding, sometimes resulting in death.
I'm going to keep well away from it, but there's no way that's large enough to eat big prey. That's not the monster I'm looking for. I'm here. Now to find the cave.
In amongst the vines and creepers, under the shadow of an overhanging rock, is the entrance to the cave. The creature I've heard about is said to have a ferocious bite. But that's not the only danger I face here.
This cave is bound to have bats in it, and that's why I'm wearing this, because caves with bats in it are known to carry a disease called histoplasmosis, which is a nasty lung disease. This place is filled with bats, flying in and out of little alcoves and up under the roof there. You see them all with their eyes. This is really sludgy, horrible mud with cockroaches crawling everywhere. Ugh.
The guano is so deep that keeping a firm footing is almost impossible. This time it's my cameraman who takes a fall.
You all right? Are you okay?
Luckily, no one is injured.
This is skin from a snake. There's something in here. What's in here? Oh! What is that?
I'm in a cave system on a remote Indonesian island, hunting for a man-eating monster.
What's in here? This is really sludgy, horrible mud with cockroaches crawling everywhere. Oh! What is that? It's a huge snake coiled up in here.
It's a reticulated python. The largest specimen ever found was an impressive 32 feet in length and weighed 320 pounds. In rare instances, they've been known to kill and eat humans.
This is a deadly snake. It has a massive bite and it does kill people. But it isn't venomous. So it's not the creature I'm looking for.
If the animal behind the attacks isn't a giant snake, then what is it? To get a better description of the monster, I'm heading to the seaside village of Woloka, where I've heard that villagers have been terrorized by a huge predatory reptile.
There must be an element of luck to survive in a place like this. Whatever killer might be out there, I hope my own luck doesn't run out.
Woloka is on the west coast of Flores. Recent archaeological findings suggest that it was an important trading port for ancient Chinese dynasties, dating back over 1,000 years. These days, the majority of locals are fishermen.
When I arrive in a place like this, I lose all sense of time. If it weren't for the logos on t-shirts, you really could be in any time.
Today is market day, where villagers from surrounding islands come to sell their wares. I've arranged to meet a buffalo herder named Junaidin, who has a disturbing tale to tell. He says one of his buffaloes fell prey to the monster, and he agrees to take me to the scene of the crime. Tell me, what happened to your buffalo? Junaidin says that when he went to check on his animals one day, he found that one of his full-grown buffaloes had mysteriously vanished. He looked everywhere for it in case maybe it had been stolen. But now he absolutely believes that this has been snatched by something and eaten. He has a good idea of what the culprit might have been. Junaidin describes a gigantic four-legged reptile over 6 feet long, covered in rough, scaly skin that was yellow, black and red, with a mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth.
Lebih panjang dan tajam dia, gigi gergaji ini. Dan tajam dia.
Like a saw.
Ah,
Do you think these creatures are venomous?
tapi kalau dia bekas
Junaidin says that when the creatures bite, they inflict wounds that simply do not heal. And this is because they have some kind of venom or poison in their mouths.
Do you have a name for this creature?
ora, tapi yang kami kasih nama di sini itu buaya darat.
The local name for the monster is Buaya Darat, which literally translates as land crocodile.
Where do you normally see these creatures? Where can I find one?
Saya juga belum pernah lihat, hanya satu kali saja atau dulu. Sudah beberapa.
The normal place he sees them is right down by the beach, which isn't far away.
So that's where I'm heading next.
I really feel that I have a very good idea of what I'm dealing with now. It's a gigantic crocodile.
Crocodiles are highly evolved predators. They can grow to over 17 feet long and weigh over 1,000 pounds.
They're more than capable of taking down large animals, and they certainly kill people.
Their jaw muscles are extremely powerful and can exert a bite pressure of 5,000 pounds per square inch. Compare that to the 669 per square inch for a great white shark.
The problem with this theory is crocodiles are supposed to be extinct in this part of the island. And who's ever heard of a venomous crocodile?
Perhaps the creature behind the attacks is something prehistoric, like the Megalania. The Megalania was the largest venomous vertebrate known to have ever existed on Earth. Fossils show it could grow to 18 feet in length. Its closest living relative is a venomous lizard called the lace monitor. Whatever the creature may be, it seems that a good place to look for it is here on these shores. So I'm hiring some boatmen to help me on my hunt. There might be a monstrous beast lurking by these waters, but for these boatmen, the monster is not a figment of imagination. It's real.
Have you seen the Buaya Darat?
Saya pernah melihat minggu kemarin di sebelah sana.
He tells me he's seen these creatures on the beaches.
It looks like this is the beach he's talking about. It really is starting to feel Jurassic. The water is cleared up. I can see through to the rocks.
Itu biar itu. Yang di kayu.
For a split second, I catch a glimpse of something.
Itu di kayu.
A lizard right there.
Putar. Itu. Itu di kayu yang.
We move in to get a closer look. But it's too late. Whatever it was vanished into the water.
He got away before we could have a real good look at it.
If it can traverse both land and water, then I might have better luck searching for it in the swamps. But I'm going to take a new approach. I'm going to bait the creature.
Instead of me trying to find the reptile, I'm going to let it come to me.
I'm working with a local animal handler named Yitno. Together, we're going to set a series of traps. We have the pieces to build 4 massive cages, each big enough to hold a reptile up to 10 feet long. But getting the cages into position is a treacherous job.
We better put this trap down quickly and get out of here. Because these things attack people, and I don't want to be hanging around for that. This is exactly the right sort of location. There's water, sunlight, and shade. I think we stand a really good chance of finding something. Okay, I think this one goes in the middle.
The cages are in place. Time to set the trap.
Hook it in. Yeah. If something comes to fill this trap, that's going to be one big beast. This lovely piece of chicken should draw him out if he's hungry.
The bait is attached to a tripwire.
When the thing bites this chicken, down comes that trapdoor. Like that. All the traps are set. I'm gonna have to be vigilant now. I need to be quiet so I can hear if any of the traps go off or make a bang as that guillotine door comes down. What was that?
I'm in the jungles of Indonesia, trying to snare a giant lizard that has been terrorizing the local people.
What was that? It looks like we've got something. Right over here in one of the cages. We've definitely got something over there. It's a big lizard. From head to tail, it's about 3.5 feet long. Let's have a closer look at her now. Oh, I can see the teeth now. Now the sunlight's hitting her. Hold the body and the tail. Yeah. Yep. There. Okay. And look at those claws. So this is the Varana salvator.
This translates as Guardian Monitor. The Varana salvator is one of the larger lizards that inhabit this region. Its markings are uncannily similar to those of the lace monitor, and the colors match Junaidine's description of the creature that most likely attacked his livestock. It has a powerful tail that it uses to steer when it's in the water, but it can also use it as a weapon.
I mean, looking from the end of its tail here to its head, that's a long lizard. Let's have a look at the teeth. They're like little piranha teeth. Yeah. They're not that many of them, but they're really barbed and pointing backwards. Ah, I can feel the whole rib cage move when she takes a breath. This isn't a venomous creature, and it's nowhere near big enough to be my monster. So I think we better let it go. What do you think? Handing over to you. Yeah. All yours.
Okay.
This creature may not be big enough to kill a human, but it's certainly quick enough to startle one, as my cameraman is about to find out.
Yep. The Varana salvator, it could have taken a nasty bite out of his foot.
In an instant, the Varana salvator vanishes into the water, just like the reptile I saw in Warloka. If lizards this large are living in the waters around the island, maybe even bigger ones lurk there too. I'm heading back to the coast to renew my search. But this time I'm going deeper. I've chartered a boat with a professional snorkeling and diving crew. If the creature is hiding below the surface, I'm going to find it.
I'll need some weight to help get me down in this wetsuit. Fins and a mask, that's it. I don't expect this creature that people have been seeing on the land to be too deep in the water if it does go in the water. So all I need to do is look from the surface. I really don't need to dive too deep.
The safety of dry land seems a long way away.
One thing I know about these waters is that they are filled with sharks. And I hear that the most prevalent shark is a white-tip shark, which really is a very dangerous shark. They do attack people.
The white-tip shark is considered by some to be the most dangerous shark on the planet.
I don't want to get too far away from the coast. Let's see if I can find any predators.
There's an eerie silence to this underwater world. As the tide comes in, all manner of creatures are brought in with it, including the gigantic manta ray. But that's not all.
There is something serious down there.
As I dive back down, I'm ambushed by an unlikely attacker.
This place is crawling with jellyfish.
I could be in serious trouble here. Some of the jellyfish that populate these waters are lethal. One particular species, the box jellyfish, has killed dozens of people. Its tentacles release toxins that destroy its victim's skin cells. In extreme cases, the stings can disrupt the nervous system to such an extent that they can trigger a heart attack.
It is jellyfish central down there. I've just got stung across the forehead. No reptilious, carnivorous creatures.
Mercifully, it looks like these jellyfish are ctenophores, or comb jellyfish, which are not deadly.
I was stung across the head. Actually, I can feel it. I can feel a line of laceration here across my forehead.
But that's the only sting I've endured, and it has no lasting effect.
I've had a good look in the water just to satisfy my curiosity, but I'm convinced my search belongs on the ground.
But before we reach the shore, one of the divers named Hilar tells me an alarming tale about a group of divers who came face to face with a giant carnivorous reptile.
You have a story about something really quite horrific that happened to other divers. Tell me about it.
And my friends took some divers from Labuan Bajo to that dive site. And at the time, the weather is really, really bad here. The currents take them away from the dive site, and it was really dark, so the captain doesn't see anything.
The divers were just carried off by the current.
Yep.
For 9 hours, the divers were lost in these shark-infested waters, until eventually they washed ashore on an uninhabited region of a completely different island from where they set out. On this isolated stretch of coast, they were attacked by a massive predator.
The big lizard tried to attack them because the big lizard see them on the beach.
That is just horrible. So they've survived the sea, they're trying to survive on the land, and they're being attacked by giant lizards. They must have felt like the unluckiest people in the world.
Yeah, I'm really afraid about lizard here, because I heard many times the big lizards kill the people here.
Fortunately, the divers were rescued and lived to tell the tale. And it's given me the clue I need to track down the monster.
What's the name of the island these guys were washed up on?
The divers washed up in Rincha Island. We call it Rincha Island.
Rincha Island.
Yeah.
If they washed up on Rincha Island, that's where I need to go next. I'm on the island of Rincha in Indonesia, on a quest to find a giant man-eating lizard.
If the divers washed up on this island, maybe the locals can help me find this creature.
We've docked at a tiny village called Kampung Rincha. Built right between the sea and untamed jungle, it's subject to the whims of nature.
If I were a hungry reptile, this is where I'd head for. Babies in shallow water, with the hills and woodlands beyond. Young kids wandering around with chickens and baby chicks.
But the locals do take some precautions to keep themselves safe.
All these houses are built up on stilts. It's not just to protect against flooding, it's to keep the people safe from vicious attacks.
The locals here tell me I need to talk to a man named Bandar, who has a tragic story to tell.
Bandar,
Yeah.
you and your family have experienced an attack. Can you tell me what happened?
Pertamanya, saya
One day, several years ago, Bandar took his young son down to the sea to bathe. After bathing, Bandar and his son returned home. Bandar went inside to change his clothes while his son waited on the steps outside. While he was getting changed, Bandar heard a terrible screaming sound. He rushed outside to find his son's leg in the jaws of a huge killer reptile. Bandar did what any parent would do and tried to fight the creature off. He grabbed the tail of the beast and pulled it away. But it lunged again and clamped onto the poor boy's groin. Bandar pulled the vicious creature away again, but it wouldn't give and went for the boy's side. Finally, Bandar wrestled the creature away long enough to get his son out of harm's way, and the beast disappeared into the brush. But it was too late. His son died of blood loss within an hour. This tragic story has left me lost for words.
Goes without saying that Bandar is desperately sad about what happened to his son, and since then he's just tried to put it out of his mind.
But perhaps his account can help me track down the creature.
Is this still a problem? Do you still hear of attacks?
It seems that attacks on humans are very rare, but he says that recently some livestock were attacked near the village.
The attacks are still happening. And in fact, only last night, a goat was attacked and eaten.
My quest is starting to get very real.
As sad as Bandar's story is, he told me about a goat being attacked. Now that gives me a really great idea.
My team and I have come inland, and together with a group of park rangers, we've formulated a plan to catch the beast. If this thing eats goats, I'm going to lure it out of hiding with its favorite food.
This is where I'm going to set my bait. Nicely sprung tree. I'm going to try and throw this rope over the top of it. There. Okay, here goes the carcass.
I'm hoisting the bait up high for one simple reason.
I've hung this as high as I have because I want to attract the lizards into the spot. I don't want to trap them, I want to get them to the spot so that I can film them.
And the safest place for me to be is also up high.
I have two good strong handholds and I'm in perfect line of sight to the bait. Thanks, you can pass me the camera again now.
Now it's a waiting game.
The stench coming from that goat, it's surrounded by flies now. It really has got to carry a scent like that.
It's not long before something emerges.
Okay, there's movement over there. Let's climb up over some rocks.
It's a gigantic lizard.
It's huge.
I'm just a few feet away from a giant carnivorous lizard.
The lizard's here. I've got to reposition and get a shot of the bait.
One false move and I could become lunch for this massive creature.
He's checking around. He's moving his head from side to side. Now I've got a good side shot of him. Look at the length of that tongue. He's looking up at the bait. Yes, he's... Oh, yes. I bit him the leg. He's got it. He's tugging at the goat. He's really strong. Ah, yeah. He's tearing at the goat.
It's certainly aggressive and powerful enough to match the descriptions of the animal that's been attacking the locals.
Really frantically moving around now. He's not going to let this goat go. Arr. Locals call this the Boya Durat, but this is definitely the Komodo dragon. This is the largest lizard by weight on Earth.
The Komodo dragon generally avoids contact with humans, but on rare occasions they have been known to attack. And this one's not alone.
Okay, this should be interesting. There's another one, it's smaller and it's coming in from the right. I wonder how they're going to react when there's two of them going for the same bait.
The stories are finally starting to make sense.
This is definitely the creature that matches all the accounts I've just heard. And as sad as it is to think about, This is definitely the type of species that killed Bandar's son.
And it's probably responsible for the missing European tourist as well.
This is just how people described it. It's carnivorous, all right, and it has an extremely powerful bite.
This is the cold-blooded killer that locals have said terrorizes their communities. It can take down a 2,000-pound buffalo, and in exceptional cases, kills people. For years, scientists thought that the dragon's bite was lethal because of the huge amount of bacteria in its mouth. But in 2005, researchers discovered that it was also venomous. And it's one element the Komodo dragon shares with its distant relative, the Megalania.
That big one's got a whole head in its mouth now. That goat is mincemeat. For now, I'm really glad I'm up this tree. But my job is to get down there on its level to get a really nice low-angle shot.
But it's far too dangerous to do that here. To get intimately close shots of these amazing creatures, I'm going to enlist some experts. And the best place to do that is where these creatures were discovered. Komodo Island. My team and I have hired a boat to make the dangerous crossing to Komodo Island.
These waters are completely infested with highly venomous sea snakes.
A shipwreck here would be disastrous.
You can see here quite how shallow we are.
As we head for the dragon's homeland, I have a moment to reflect on the wonder and beauty of this awe-inspiring creature.
I can completely understand why this thing has become the stuff of legends. I find it really hard not to admire the Komodo dragon.
Thankfully, we arrive in one piece to Komodo Island, in the heart of Komodo National Park.
I'm bringing with me Denny, who's a biologist and really experienced with the Komodos. He's going to help me get as close as we possibly can to the dragons.
But first, we've got to find them. Denny's been working to conserve this species for many years, and he's an expert tracker.
Here you can look at the footprint, claw print, actually here. You can have a look here.
They're definitely the curved line of four nails, four claws.
Yeah, nail, 4 claws.
So it's going that way?
Going that way, yes.
Let's follow the claw marks.
Okay. Look here.
We follow the trails straight into Dragon Country and find an ideal place to set up our traps. We're baiting it again with its favorite food, goat meat.
And I'm a dragon! That'll work. And there's the surveillance camera right at the end of the cage, so I can see the dragon coming towards the bait. Well, that's it for now. It's just a waiting game.
But we don't have to wait long. Within 15 minutes, they emerge. These aggressive predators can use their tongues to sniff out carrion from 5 miles away, and they're virtually fearless.
Look at that. Yes. He's in. Will he take the bait?
I'm on Komodo Island in Indonesia, where I'm tracking down a Komodo dragon. I want to film the creature at close range and gather footage that no one has ever shot before.
He's in. Will he take the bait? Yes, we got him!
At last, the Komodo dragon is in our grasp.
Denny, we've got it.
But handling this deadly creature is a job for the experts.
It's about now. It's big, it's big. It's very big. That's why we have to be very careful.
Okay, I won't put my face too close to the hole then.
Very gently, we rope the Komodo's head to keep it under control.
tongkat yang
Still
itu.
doing it right now.
Now the head's trapped.
I need more people now.
We're trying to
I need
remove
more
the
people
rear
now.
section of the trap so that we can get hold of the tail.
Oke. Oke, Pahit, masuk Pahit. Kasih pindah dulu itu, pindah dulu. Oke, you can grab the tail.
Okay.
You can help it, no? We have to tie it like this because once the dragon's foot touch the ground, they are very powerful. Tidak, tidak.
For safety's sake, we have to keep its mouth firmly shut.
I can't actually see what they're
You can go here. You can go here, Richard.
Okay.
The killing machine of the dragon is the teeth. The teeth is very sharp. It's like a blade.
But its teeth aren't the only weapon the dragon has at its disposal.
The killer of the dragons is bacteria coming from the saliva.
And if the bacteria doesn't knock out its prey, there's something else that will.
They actually have a venomous gland. It's anatomically on the lower jaw.
Okay.
Yeah, on the lower jaw.
So they have two chances of killing you.
Absolutely.
They can get you with the bacteria when they're biting you
Yeah.
and the venom.
Unlike poisonous snakes that inject venom into their victim's bloodstream using their fangs, the Komodo dragon uses its array of razor-sharp teeth to slice through its victim's flesh, allowing the venom to seep from its mouth into the open wound.
So you can imagine if this thing is tearing at your flesh, the venom
Venom.
will ooze itself into the wounds.
Yeah. People who got bitten by the dragon, it's really difficult to stop bleeding.
The venom from the Komodo dragon contains chemicals that prevent the wound from healing, increasing blood loss and sending the victim into shock, rendering it too weak to fight. Some of the compounds in the dragon's venom are as potent as those found in the world's most venomous snake, Western Australia's taipan.
Well, finally, we've got our reptile. It's big, strong, it has a huge bite, and it's venomous.
With the creature under control, Denny takes detailed measurements.
It's 2.7 meter.
It's about 10 foot.
This data is used for demographic studies to chart their population and growth rate.
These dragons were critically endangered, and it's thanks to the work of people like Denny who have helped to conserve this Komodo dragon. Now, people are not allowed to kill these creatures. They are protected, and it's coming back from the brink of extinction.
With Denny's help, I'm going to use a miniature camera to see the world from its point of view.
What I'm going to try and do is put this lightweight camera just on top of the dragon's head. When we let it go, it should run downhill towards the bait we have hanging in a tree. This electrical tape will do the job, but it's not overly sticky so as to leave horrible residue on his scales. Now all I have to do is turn the camera on. Okay, that's running. If this works, it's going to be a really cool shot. What do you think, Denny?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure it is.
Let's stand back and let him go.
Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
At first, the agitated animal goes after us.
Okay, udah. It's too close with you.
Sure. Okay. Just then he had his eyes fixed on me and looked like he was ready to charge. One little flick of the tongue, looking straight at me.
But the dragon is soon lured away by the stench of the goat carcass, and I finally have a chance to film it up close. This is the kind of access that camera operators dream about. But now I've got a problem.
In my hurry to get that camera on his head and tape it down, I haven't thought, how am I going to get the camera back? It would be much less stressful for the animal if we can just pull it off.
I think so. Yes,
It would be a shame to trap it again, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If you've got him down, I'll try and get the camera off.
Awas.
Just get my knife. Lock up the tape.
Okay.
Okay, intake.
Oh, yeah.
That's it, we got it.
We
We
are
got the
there.
camera. So all of that priceless material is on here. I can't wait to download this and have a look.
Before I do, there's just enough time to get some more close-up shots of this astounding creature as it feeds.
When you're this close on a wide lens, it feels almost three-dimensional. And now we have a second one joined in.
You can really see when they're tearing that meat from the ribs, how they can work the venom from the glands right into the wound.
This is definitely the monster I've been after. I mean, I've got it on camera.
After weeks of searching, I've finally come face to face with the real-life monster of Indonesia. The Komodo dragon is every bit as impressive and magnificent as it is fearsome. And in spite of all the setbacks, my crew and I got what we came here for. Incredible shots of one of the most extraordinary creatures on Earth.